Chris Roebuck is a visiting professor of transformational leadership at Cass Business School. He joins us now live from London. Thanks so much for speaking to us. First, what do you think Boris Johnson will go home with after this visit? Anything different from what Theresa May actually got?
I think if you look at the way this has worked, from the EU's perspective, they spent 2 years negotiating with the UK government. They agreed a deal with the UK government, and the reason that deal did not go through Parliament was that Theresa May was unable to get all of her own party on board and her allies, which would have given her a majority. So from the leadership perspective within the EU, they're saying to themselves, well, hang on, you know, your predecessor agreed this. Now at the last minute, you're coming back and you're wanting to change a fundamental part of that, which is to ensure that there is free access across the border between Northern Ireland and the Republic. So my impression is, particularly given your commentators' description of the next few weeks in terms of the challenges to Boris in the UK, where certainly there is absolutely a majority against a no deal in Parliament, to see what happens.
It's fascinating. I mean, can Boris Johnson, do you think, though, what he's aiming for now, it feels like he wants to kind of have it both ways in the UK. He promised he'd get a better deal. But now he's posturing to have failed on that front, but still have an advantage there by being able to blame the EU for intransigence.
Well, I think this is the classic. I mean, let's be fair. Actually, not all politicians always tell the truth. So to some degree, there is a bending of the truth here to portray the EU as the villain of the piece. But the problem that Boris Johnson and the government effectively face is that in the referendum, it was only 48 to remain, 52 to leave. Polls would suggest now that potentially those figures have altered, and even with those who voted to leave, there is a significant majority of even those people not wanting to leave without a deal, because the forecasts from all the experts are that it will push the UK into a significant recession.
Right. And now, Boris Johnson's ultimate threat here is to crash out of the EU. So, first of all, let's make it clear. Can Parliament stop that or not?
The simple answer is yes, because if Parliament has a vote of no confidence in the government, then technically Boris Johnson has to resign and allow Parliament to then offer a new Prime Minister who does have support in Parliament to the Queen. Now, the issue there is, it's not about the vote of no confidence. The challenge really is, can the other parties in Parliament all get together in such a way that they actually agree on one person who might command support in Parliament? And at the present moment in time, it looks as if they can't do that. The other thing is that Parliament could pass a law that says that we must not leave with no deal. So, to be honest, the next few weeks are going to be a bit of a roller coaster for Boris Johnson, for the government, for the people of UK and for the EU.
Chris, will the UK leave the EU on the 31st of October?
I suspect it might not. I suspect something is going to happen that might make us do some form of fudge with the EU just to get us to somewhere where we can have a deal. Because the consensus of most people is, if we delay by a month and we get a good deal, it is total madness to then leave on the 31st of October.
Chris Roebuck joining us live there from London. Thanks so much for that.
Thank you.